The arrival at Swanage of Bulleid Battle of Britain class Pacific No. 34072-257 Squadron marked an important milestone in the railway's development. Built in 1948, 257 Squadron was one of 110 locomotives first introduced in 1945 by the Southern Railway to the design of O.V. Bulleid, the company's chief mechanical engineer. Primarily intended for express and semi-fast passenger duties over routes where the heavier Merchant Navy class were prohibited, these light Pacifics were somewhat artificially divided into the West Country and Battle of Britain classes. The West Countries were named after towns and beauty spots in the southwest. The Battle of Britons were originally intended for use on the eastern section of the Southern and were named after famous squadrons, aerodromes and personalities involved in the Battle of Britain itself. Bulleid's highly original design incorporated partial streamlining of the locomotives, invariably referred to by the designer as air smoothing. In addition, there were numerous innovations never before applied to steam engines in the UK. From 1957, some of the West Countries and Battle of Britons were rebuilt by British Railways, one effect of which was a more conventional appearance. Both rebuilt and unrebuilt versions were to last right to the end of steam on the southern region in July 1967.
In the 24 years since the last Bulleid Pacifics were withdrawn, no less than 31 have been saved from the torch. 257 Squadron's rescue came in November 1984, when it left the famous Woodham scrapyard in Barry, South Wales. The record 2-year restoration, which began in mid-1988, ensured 34072 could be officially renamed at a special ceremony at Folkestone to mark the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Britain. The engine was then taken to the Bluebell Railway in Sussex for running in. On the 7th of November 1990, 72 arrived by low loader at Swanage, having squeezed its way through the narrow streets and round the sharp bends of Corfe Castle village. The timing of this arrival was critical, since the loco was due to take part in further ceremonies in connection with Remembrance Sunday, the 11th of November.
First and foremost, we must express our gratitude to Parma, who, with their generous financial support, have made the restoration of 340.
The occasion was attended by celebrated Battle of Britain pilots, including the former 257 Squadron leader, Air Commodore Peter Brothers. Michael Bulleid, the son of O.V. Bulleid, was also present. After the formal speeches, final preparations were made for the inaugural VIP run to Harmon's Cross.
speedy restoration of 257 Squadron was made possible by generous financial support from Tarmac Limited of Swindon. Ironically, the reconstruction of this Southern Pacific was carried out in the heart of Great Western Territory, in the old Weybridge building at the former Swindon Works site. As the last Remembrance Day special draws into Harmon's Cross, 34072 is ready to begin a new working parade. The station at Swanage is conveniently located in the centre of the town, only 2 minutes' walk from the beach. With Christmas over, both the station and its shop are still open, as they are every day of the year. For now, the railway runs from Swanage to Harmon's Cross, 3 miles away, and it was over this 6-mile round trip that 257 Squadron worked an intensive and well-patronised Santa Special service over the winter of 1990-91. Note the locomotive's high-sided tender, currently on loan from the Bluebell. This feature is particularly appropriate to 72, as she alone of all surviving bullied Pacifics ran with a high-sided tender throughout her working life on BR. One recent problem on the railway is the theft of coal. Here the camera unwittingly captures the perpetrator in the act. Having arrived and uncoupled, 257 Squadron backs off her train to gain access to the run-round loop prior to the next trip to Harmon's Cross. The only named express to serve Swanage was the Royal Wessex, introduced in 1951 to mark the Festival of Britain. In former years, 2 coaches would be detached from the Wessex at Wareham and brought down to Swanage with the branch train, usually by an M7 class 044 tank engine. With full boiler pressure and a grey January day to evoke memories of winter departures long past, the squadron makes an incredible visual contrast with the heap of rusting metal she was only 3 short years ago. Driver Nick Hannon checking by touch for hot bearings. In the 1950s and 60s, Bulleid's light Pacifics were regular visitors, with 10 and 12 coach holiday excursions from London. This gave rise to complicated dividing and shunting manoeuvres within the restricted confines of the station area. With only 4 BR Mark I's and 1 original Bulleid coach in tow, 257 Squadron isn't faced with any such problem. To provide a closer examination of 72's performance in these early days, a return journey from Swanage to Harmon's Cross has been compiled using various sequences both on and off the footplate. Accelerating under Victoria Avenue Road Bridge, 257 Squadron ascends the 1 in 110 climb towards Hurston Halt. Briefly, the weather conditions produce a classic problem associated with the unrebuilt Pacifics. Smoke and exhaust steam clinging around the casing and obscuring the view forward, although this time not on the driver's side. A short distance from Hurston, the gradient steepens to 1 in 78. Emerging round the curve at Leeson Wood, 72 tackles the climb to the summit at New Barn Bridge with some determination. Once past New Barn Bridge, the climb eases briefly to 1 in 470. Approaching the A351 Nursery Road Bridge, the loco prepares for the 1 in 76 climb to Haycraft's Lane. Bulleid's pull-out regulator is a reminder of his apprenticeship under Gresley on the LNER. A little over halfway up the 1 in 76 climb, 257 Squadron approaches Quor Farm Crossing. last few hundred yards of the climb, the train approaches Haycraft's Lane overbridge, beyond which is Harmon's Cross, the present limit of operations. Having uncoupled, the locomotive reverses round its train, giving a fireman's eye view of the run-round procedure. The tender, presently attached to 257 Squadron, is on loan from sister West Country class number 34023 Blackmore Vale. The first 70 light Pacifics had tenders 8 foot 6 inches wide to match the 8.5 foot wide cabs, but from number 71 onwards, cab width, and thus tender width, was increased to 9 foot. 72 is thus rather wider than her present tender. During 1991 and 92, a new 9 foot wide tender will be constructed for 257 Squadron, and the borrowed tender returned to its owners on the Bluebell Railway. Restorers of various other light Pacifics have aided 72's record returned traffic. For instance, outside connecting rods were borrowed from rebuilt Battle of Britain number 34059 Sir Archibald Sinclair, and 2 driving wheel springs came from West Country class number 34028 Eddystone. All Bulleid's Pacifics shared the technically advanced feature of electric lighting at front and rear of locomotive, at various points under the casing, and in the cab, as witnessed by the characteristic whine of the Stone's electric generator. Great pains were taken by the designer to group the relevant controls within easy reach of both driver and fireman. Through the unusual Ajax firehole doors can be seen another bullied novelty, one of the two thermic siphons designed to improve thermal efficiency in the boiler. The return working to Swanage has 257 Squadron pulling away from Harman's Cross tender first, beginning the 1 in 76 descent to New Barn Bridge. Bullied Pacifics are equipped with two steam pressure gauges, the one on the driver's side showing pressure in the steam chest. With regulator closed as the train drifts downhill, no reading will register. Crossing New Barn Bridge, the gradient falls away at 1 in 78 towards Hurston. In the sidings beyond Swanage Station stands the hulk of rebuilt Merchant Navy Pacific No. 35022 Holland America Line, together with a sad line of derelict coaches awaiting restoration or removal. Holland America Line has been at Swanage since the mid-1980s, and was the engine to haul the last, much-lamented Atlantic Coast Express from Waterloo to the west of England. A sister to the celebrated Merchant Navy No. 35027 Port Line, Holland America Line may well be the subject of an imaginative and unexpected rebuild in the 1990s. To increase passenger receipts during the quiet winter months, 257 Squadron has been involved in several special events on the Swanage Railway. Apart from Santa Specials, the first of these took place at the end of December and would at least have raised the eyebrows of any Southern Railway design team of the late 40s austerity years. As somewhat superannuated mutant heroes take over the train, 257 Squadron again sets out for Harmon's Cross. The locomotive and the train's guard, Steve and Dad, having been released from reptilian clutches, the squadron is next assigned to less hazardous duties, hauling the lunchtime specials on Mothering Sunday, the 10th of March. The Swanage Railway has been steadily developing its range of on-train catering services. Most trains run with full buffet facilities, and roast lunches are served every Sunday. In addition, special wine and dine evening trains run on a regular basis and are proving increasingly popular. By coincidence, these Mothering Sunday specials run exactly 50 years to the day after the first bullied Pacific, Merchant Navy number 35001 Channel Packet, was named at Eastleigh on the 10th of March 1941. Situated some 3 miles northwest of Swanage, the station at the small village of Harmon's Cross is the first new railway station to be opened in Dorset for 51 years. It was formally brought into service on the 4th of March 1989 by the Southern Region's General Manager Gordon Pettit. The up platform is yet to be completed and will probably be the site of the new signal box once the line through to Corfe Castle becomes operational. Swanage Railway events catering specifically for youngsters include children's birthday parties, teddy bear specials, Friends of Thomas the Tank Engine weekends, and school educational visits. These are only part of a wide variety of attractions held throughout the year, ranging through a Victorian weekend in June, a 1940s weekend in September, pie and pint specials in November, and steam galas in spring and autumn, at which all available locomotives are in steam. In 1991, new ground was broken with a photographic weekend on the 24th and 25th of February, with awards for the most original and creative prints. In this, 257 Squadron was joined by other locos resident at Swanage to provide a variety of motive power and double-heading combinations. Preparations include coaling of 34072 using one of the two mechanical conveyors on site. This one situated at the main servicing area adjacent to the turntable. Swanage is unusual among preserved railways in possessing a fully operational turntable, which unfortunately cannot accommodate the 67-foot length of 257 Squadron. To turn the Pacific, it is necessary first to separate locomotive and tender, and afterwards to reconnect them, a protracted and burdensome task. Note another bullied innovation: the characteristic BFB wheels, which are 10% lighter than the spoked variety and give better support to the tyre. During the war, some RAF squadrons were adopted by British colonies. 257 was adopted by Burma, so 34072 carries Burmese insignia on its crest and the Burmese motto, which means death or glory. Other locomotives in steam during the photographic weekend included industrial 060 tank engine Nunlow and ex-Great Western Collet 56XX 062 tank number 5619. For the devotee of a narrower gauge, some highly collectible clockwork locos and rolling stock were put through their paces on the station platform. Without doubt, the main attraction alongside 257 Squadron was the recently arrived ex-London and South Western Railway T9 Class 440 number 120. This locomotive is part of the national collection.
Now has decided to be a permanent fixture of the T9. It seems to be a permanent fixture.
The National Railway Museum has made the T9 available to the Swanage Railway for a period of 10 years. Prior to its arrival here, it spent some years on the Mid-Hants Railway. The Pines Express headboard is reminiscent of light Pacific haulage of this much-loved train over the Somerset and Dorset, prior to that line's deplorable closure by the Western region and the rerouting of the Pines via Oxford and Southampton. Backing down to the station loop is the T9, complete with makeshift rain canopy. Victorian locos like this one were notoriously exposed to the elements. This 19th century Drummond design for the South Western was originally introduced for express haulage between Waterloo, Bournemouth and Weymouth, and Waterloo and the west of England. They were highly successful and earned the nickname Greyhounds for their high turn of speed and free running. They ended their days on much humbler duties, including use on the Swanage branch, where they were last seen in regular service over 30 years ago. The unlikely pairing of 257 Squadron with 5619 has both locos struggling to find their feet in this rousing departure from Swanage. In contrast to Saturday's rain, Sunday dawned clear and found 257 Squadron paired with the T9 to recreate a classic southern combination of the 1950s. On Monday the 8th of April, with coupling and connecting rods removed and separated from her tender, 34072 waits to be winched aboard the low loader on which she will make the long journey to the North York Moors Railway. Here 257 Squadron will spend at least the summer season of 1991. In the 5 months between her arrival and departure, 257 Squadron has seen almost continuous service on the Swanage Railway and has clocked up about 2,000 miles. In contrast to the loco's arrival, the departure is without ceremony and the crowds are noticeably absent. Swanage railway tracks have now reached Corfe Castle, although the railway awaits clearance to operate over the 2 miles from Harmon's Cross to this picturesque and historic village. Beyond Corfe, just over another mile of track will complete the physical link between Swanage and the main line at Wareham. It will not be so very long before Bulleid's Pacifics can once more be seen and heard across the entire length of the Purbeck Line.